take a close look. There are no operators in the compactor, dozer, or excavator. This is only a demonstration at the off-site location for the Trimble Dimensions conference, but it shows that the journey to a fully autonomous worksite continues. I sat down with Trimble Strategic Marketing Manager Kevin Andrews and Trimble General Manager for Civil Specialty Solutions Kevin Garcia to talk about where we are, where do we want to be, and how do we get there when it comes to autonomous job sites.
So today there's a number of different journeys that are happening all at once. It really depends on the application and the site and the geography. So we're at a number of different locations, but I think we're starting to see some really interesting autonomy products start to make their way into there. Of course, we've had partial autonomy for 20 years, but I think it's really interesting how it's progressing at different speeds depending on the application.
We actually just last week released a solution that fully automates for a specific OEM and a specific package. It's an advanced level paver, but an asphalt paver that we steer, we automatically control screed width as well as depth and slope. So it's a partially autonomous asphalt paver. For example, I'm following a curve to the right, the paver starts to veer left. I've got to have asphalt up against curb line, otherwise we have a gap there. So the operator is expected to bump that out and make sure they keep that. The more of that we can automate, the more they can focus on things like, am I holding a consistent paving speed? Do I have enough material in the paver to continue to pave without a stop? Where are my trucks? Can I manage those? Is the shuttle buggy in position? There's a lot of things that a paver operator has to keep his mind on. The more of those we can take away from him, the better. So that's a very recent one that comes to mind.
Some of the things that we've done with path planning has been very exciting. And you'll see it if you get to the offsite. Our ability to plan very complicated paths and routes for very different types of machines, whether they're articulating machines or your front steer or skid steer. We've done a lot with that in the near future, and we've done a lot with that in the recent terms, and that's going to enable a lot of new products and be able to put this technology on a lot of different types of machines.
Numerous machines equipped with automated systems filled the Trimble Dimensions offsite demonstration area.
I think the connected site technology is actually what makes it very interesting, because when you can start to orchestrate multiple machines and multiple machine types, multiple machine brands, I think that's where things really start to take off and get super exciting, because now you're starting to really orchestrate across and allows you to optimize for different business goals. You're not just optimizing for one machine and one machine type. You can now optimize for different business level goals, whether it's speed of a job or sustainability goals. You can really sort of plan a whole project and execute it when you have that high level of integration.
When you're talking about a number of machines and a number of different people performing on the site, so you've got a general contractor, multiple subcontractors, they've all got to be speaking the same language, so to speak. So we're going to need a world of ISO standards that are talking about what is the data communication protocols, what is the frequency, what is the coordinate systems everyone's working in, what are the material types going on, and if I introduce a machine, how does that change the workflow to the others? This can't be prescriptive. We can't tell a machine, go do this, because that thing you told it to do might be right for this minute, but if a condition changes, whether it's climate, whether it's another machine gets added, whether a machine breaks down and he has to take on more, all of those things need to be adjusted to and accounted for.
Full autonomy will not happen overnight, but rather individual machine tasks will be automated one at a time.
Autonomy is not something where we're going to wake up tomorrow and it's just on. Autonomy, if you want to think about it simplistically, is a series of tasks that become automated, and then the next thing you know, you're autonomous. It'll be kind of I didn't really realize I wasn't driving the car anymore. It just they took these steps away. We will continue to see what we call task automation continue to increase, and that becomes a focus point over and over and over. So when we're designing products now, it's not just about, I think machine control, the space that I live in, was predominantly thought of as get it really precise with the least amount of infrastructure needed to make the contractor happy and try to find a price point that works for the market. Precision is certainly important, and we're very good at that. But now it's starting to think outside the box, and it's more of a partnership with OEMs. Hey, you have this information on your machine, we have this information on our side. How do we marry those two things together to start automating more and more? Case in point, the paver I talked about earlier.
The big driver will very likely be environmental and especially energy costs. I think the increasing energy costs aren't going to go away in the next year or two, and they're going to really drive the push to find these efficiencies that are coming from autonomy. So yeah, I think there's going to be a real pull for it in the next year or two, which is pretty exciting.
I think we get a lot of questions about, people are now seeing these pilots and these demos and things, and the common question is, when can I have it? You know, the market is more ready than people I think they are. But it's not. This is not just a simple math equation to solve. You know, oftentimes it's, you know, if we threw more money at it, would it be solved? Not necessarily. I think you asked the question even earlier around the amount of sensors that have to get fused together to truly get where we want to go is going to take time. And this is a space where, you know, first isn't always the easiest. Leading this one is hard, and a lot of people are going to learn from the pioneers and not make the same mistakes along the way. But we've got to find out how all this comes together.
Garcia tells me currently, automation can help contractors navigate the troubled waters of supply chain issues and labor shortages. When machines or manpower are not readily available, connecting and automating equipment eases the burden, especially when it comes to repetitive tasks such as pile driving or digging foundations.
Contractors need to be open and accepting of this technology, willing to try it, and not view it as a, you know, it's trying to take my job away. We're actually trying to create higher skilled workers out of it, actually.
The next generation of operators should be more comfortable with the evolving technology.
They're going to understand connectivity. They're going to understand this automation. They're going to have a level of trust that the older generations don't have, because, you know, they grew up immersed in this technology. So for them, it's second nature. And so, yeah, I think that's going to make adoption accelerate.
Where when I started at Trimble, we put a button in a place because it was available. Now we have entire UI UX teams that we design and inspect the product. What does it need to do? And then they tell us what it needs to look like and how it interacts with, so that it is intuitive. We didn't think about that stuff years ago, and this is the new generation that's forcing us to that. You know, voice of customer used to be, I have this thing, I'd like to make it easier, can you do it this way? And now it's very specific. You know, why do you guys do it this way? Wouldn't this be easier? The feedback we get now and the level of education of our customers is significantly higher than it was even 5 years ago.
The road to the fully autonomous job site is not traveled in a straight line, but the direction remains to be forward.
We're talking, you know, future state if everything was perfect. What I find intriguing is when we get to that point, that means we could also conceivably have this, when the software is doing all of this and you've got AI and neural networks all working this out, that means we could conceivably build an entire job site in a matter of seconds digitally before we execute it in the field. And you can start running scenario planning. What if I built it this way with this many shifts and this many people and this many machines of this class? How long is it going to take me and what's my cost? Now we can run it a different way with, let's introduce 2 more machines or an extra shift, or, you know, taking Thursdays off, whatever. Factor in weather conditions. We'll have so much more information that the job itself will just be kind of the afterthought. It's a lot like 3D machine control today. The work goes into the planning. Create the model. If you do a really good job on the model, the execution piece is much simpler. To me, that's what's really compelling, and I think that we'll see, you know, someday in the future.
At Trimble Dimensions in Las Vegas, Nevada, Arturo Santiago, Heavy Equipment Guide.